Hey everyone, how we doing today? This is James Sweeney, aka SplitSuit, and welcome back to another video. And as part of the Ask SplitSuit a Question series, a bunch of people ask hand history questions, and today's question comes from Devin. And Devin just wants me to review this hand played with 6-5 in a live game. So let's check it out. Okay, so this hand is from a 1-2 live game. There's a min raise, a call, folds around, and here decides to call as well. And I really don't like this call, to be totally honest. If it was 6-5 suited, totally on board with it, because we're going to have that extra suitedness, that extra flexibility, that extra draw potential going post-flop. But 6-5's offsuit just simply doesn't have that, and we're not deep enough to justify this. Considering, we only have roughly 100 big blinds ourselves, under the gun doesn't even start with 100 big blinds, the big blind doesn't have a full stack either, the small blind doesn't either, the list goes on and on. So we're playing pretty shallow here, and it's typically going to be a spot where we get to the flop with 7, 8 SPR, and that's just not deep enough for me to take a hand like 6-5 offsuit to the flop. So because of that, I would much prefer hero, probably just fold. I don't really want to squeeze here. I don't think this is going to be a great spot to do it, and definitely not the right hand type to do it given the stack depth. So because of that, I would just fold here instead, but hero does call, ends up picking up a couple extra callers, not shocking, and here we go. Okay, so in this situation, there's a check, bet of 20, call of 20, and here decides to raise to 65. So I love the fact that we're raising. My only gripe here is with the size. I think the size is a little bit small for a live game. Now, if you're trying to keep it under the $50 threshold, right, so that they don't have to call 50 more, now it's only 45 more for them to call, okay, if that's what you feel you need to do in a live game or this game specifically, okay, totally fine. But I find that in most live games, people are going to be very inelastic here. If under the gun has an overpair, they're going to get super sticky. If seat 4 has 10x, I think they're going to get super sticky. And Hero also said in his write-up that the game is extremely draw heavy and people are getting it in with draws very commonly. Now, there aren't a ton of draws here possible, right? There's no flush draw on board, so that's kind of gone. But there are some straight draws that are certainly possible, and it's just one of those where I think we can charge more, right? If someone's going to continue, let's punish them for it. And this is just a situation where I'm never folding, right? If someone jams here, never ever finding the fold button. If someone calls, pretty much never finding the fold button on a turn or river card either. Just simply because there isn't enough stack depth, there isn't enough wiggle room to get away from it at this point. So as played, under the gun calls, seat 4 decides to go away, king on the turn, and under the gun decides to rip it. So in his write-up, Devin says this: when under the gun jammed on the king turn, it was a good move if he wanted to bluff, considering I may assume king 10 is very likely in his range. And then Devin also went on to try to evaluate the range of hands that under the gun might have, and I'll flash that on the screen real quick. And what I want you to understand by looking at this range of hands is notice that he's including 10-6, 10-5, king 10, 7-8, all this kind of stuff. And yeah, 5s and 6s make sense, but who cares? There's very, very few combos of it. No one cares about that. And the thing is that in this kind of situation, if under the gun is doing this with king 10, why wouldn't he have also jammed 10-6 and 10-5 on the flop? And that's forgetting the fact that it's probably very, very, very improbable that he's ever going to show up with 10-6 or 10-5, or even 5-6 for that matter, simply because he min-raised under the gun. That doesn't scream 10-6 or 10-5, and if it does scream 10-6 or 10-5, then there's things like Jack 10 and probably even, honestly, King Queen that could be in that range as well. All those silly kind of hands, he doesn't know what the heck to do with it. So my point is that you can never be certain enough that under the gun only has sets or King 10 or better 2 pair in this situation. There's no way you could possibly find a fold in this situation. And even if you were trying to, you could just start rattling off overpairs like aces or even overpairs on the flop like queens or jacks. He doesn't know what the heck to do with it that he makes us play with, and he doesn't know how to play it. So there is no way you can find a fold here. None whatsoever. Unless he shows you king 10 or pocket 10s or whatever it is, there's just no getting away from this. Just suck it up, put your money in, and if he happens to have it, he happens to have it. There's no getting away from it. So I bring up this hand not to highlight a bad beat or cooler or whatever it is. I'm really just bringing this up because one, I want to talk about preflop. Again, not just getting involved because it's a connector, but really thinking about what's the situation going to be, what's the stack size, what are the SPR SPR is going to be and is that favorable or not. And again, I don't think it's favorable. And then definitely making sure that we discuss the turn. You have to be logical in your range assessment. You can't just say, oh, well, 10-5 is a two-pair hand that beats me, so he must possibly have it. If you would never min-raise out of the gun with 10-5 offsuit, no, it's not something that you have to worry about. And chances are he's not doing it with 10-5 suited either. So it's just one of those where, given the way the whole hand played out, given stack depth, given everything, definitely make sure you get it in. If you happen to lose, it is what it is. Tell him good hand and move on to the next one. So Devin, thank you very much for the hand, and if you or anyone else has a poker-related hand or question, feel free to send it to me directly at splitsuit.com/send, and same as always, if you have any comments or questions, please don't hesitate to let me know. Otherwise, I'll see you back next week with a brand new video, and in the meantime, good luck out there, and happy grinding.